So before we get started with today's video, I wanted to do something that I don't normally do. Just kind of give you a warning that this information is story's pretty messed up. You've already read a little bit of it in the title, I'm sure. So just understand that before we continue, that what we're about to talk about, it might really mess with you, especially after you see everything that went down with it. So, bipartisan legislators demand answers from Fauci on cruel puppy experiments. Again, like I said, you have been warned. Our investigators show that Fauci's NIH division shipped part of a $375,800 grant to a lab in Tunisia to drug beagles and lock their heads in mesh cages filled with hungry sandflies so the insects could eat them alive. White Coat Waste said. I don't even know how to respond just beginning. We'll go forward, but it is, again, it's pretty messed up. Here's a picture of what they were doing. So in the middle, they apparently had, around here, they had tons of sandflies in the mesh cages here. Drugged the dogs to let them sit there as flies would literally eat their face alive to give them parasites that they could then try to treat. God, this is just depressing. A bipartisan letter demands answers from the director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease and President Biden's chief medical advisors. The White Coat Waste Project, a nonprofit organization, first pointed out that U.S. taxpayers were being used to fund the controversial Wuhan Institute of Virology, have now turned its sights on Anthony Fauci on another animal testing-related matter, infecting dozens of beagles with disease-causing parasites to test an experimental drug on them. Now, the White Coat, as they said, the White Coat Waste Project helped, of course, find out that yes, we were funding the research in Wuhan. We did the one previous episode on this already. Yes, U.S. taxpayer dollars were going to fund, of course, research on gain-of-function research, mind you, on bat-related coronaviruses. That has now been proven. That's now been admitted to by the NIH. We don't really have much else to say about for right now because it's still been somewhat recent since that's happened. We'll see how, it kind of goes forward here in the future. But now we also know some of the other things our dollars have gone to. Again, this is taxpayer dollars that were used. Your money went to do this to beagles. Your money went to go use to do this. My money went to go do this. We paid for this. Right? We worked hard. We worked our butts off so that our dollars could go to the government, which they then spent on this. That is what taxpayer money really does. That is what it means when you pay taxes to the government, that you are funding anything they choose to fund, and they chose to fund this. So let's keep going. House members, most of whom are Republicans, want Fauci to explain himself in response to allegations brought on by the White Coat Waste Project that involve drugging puppies. According to the White Coat Waste Project, and the Food and Drug Administration does not require drugs to be tested on dogs. So the group is asking why the need of such testing. White Coat Waste claims that 44 beagle puppies were used in Tunisia, North Africa laboratory. Some of the dogs had their vocal cords removed, allegedly so scientists could work without the incessant barking. They literally cut out their vocal cords because they didn't want to deal with the sounds they made as they tortured them. Absolutely unreal. Leading the effort is Rep. Nancy Mace, writing a letter to National Institute of Health saying that corderectomies are cruel and a reprehensible misuse of taxpayer funds. Again, we paid for this. This is what we paid for. Our investigators show that Fauci's NIH division shipped part of a $375,000 grant to a lab in Tunisia to drug beagles and lock their heads in mesh cages filled with hungry sandflies so the insects could eat them alive. They also locked the beagles alone in cages in the desert overnight for 9 consecutive nights and used them as bait to attract other infectious sandflies. This is all the people who signed on to the letter. As you can even see, even Democrats are starting to come over and say, you know what, we need answers on this. Now, I do have to say I find it funny. We didn't care, these Democrats didn't care when it was, of course, Americans suffering of COVID that, hey, Fauci might have helped fund the research that might have led to the outbreak. Again, all these are might. We don't know for sure. Maybe we're going to keep that word. Maybe. They weren't concerned enough to do any further investigations on what happened in the Wuhan lab that we funded. But of course, when it involves animals, of course, now they're all for signing on. You know what? I'm not gonna get too upset just because we need people to start. We need people to take a stand against Fauci. That's the reality, right? So we got Democrats and Republicans now taking a stand here, which is great to see. Now, it is worth saying the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease has not responded or not made a response, of course, to the. Now, it is worth saying the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease did not immediately respond to a request for comment, so, of course, they have not issued a statement yet on this. I'm just going to pull us back up. This is what Fauci was doing. There are other, from the leaked document, or not really leaked documents, I guess, more of just the issued documents from the Freedom of Information Act request that they put through. They were doing other experiments on other animals as well that were also reprehensible. Now, obviously, this one involves dogs, beagles of all dogs. Dogs out, of course, we all love dogs for the most part, unless, of course, you live in some countries over in Asia, that they don't really care for dogs too much. But we love dogs here. In the West, we've always loved dogs. Now, this has brought up a serious question. Should we do animal testing in general? Now, do not get me wrong. I, as a Christian, do believe that God gave us dominion over the land. He gave us dominion over all the land and all the creatures that inhabit that land. Which means, technically, yes, we can do what we want. Except here's the issue. I technically have dominion over my house. I can do what I want. If I want to go and break the window out of my house, I have every right to do it. It doesn't mean it's a responsible thing to do. Just because we can doesn't mean we should, as the old saying goes, right? So the issue here comes, again, scientists, like always, might be brilliant. Scientists are typically very brilliant, right? I mean, look at what they do. They know nothing when it comes to morality. They just don't. It's why we don't allow our society to be run by scientists. Because scientists do not understand morality in the same way the common man does, or of course anyone with any real basic understanding. And don't get me wrong, there are some out there who obviously do. But when you look at some of the worst atrocities ever committed in the world, they were very much done, when it comes to at least the modern world, very much done in the name of science. Because for them, of course, they, like always, have a thing they want to get to. This is, we want to reach an end result. And for this end result, of course, is, hey, you know what? You find out something about parasitic diseases that might save human lives. And so for them, that seems like a win. We learn information about this. It's okay to do. But the ends don't justify the means. We saw what scientists did back in World War II. Look up what the Japanese did to the Chinese during World War II. It will literally haunt you if you read about it. And they did it for the sake of medical research. And guess what? We learned a lot from them. As we learned a lot from the other guys from World War II. It doesn't mean it was right to do. This is one of those cases. Like they said in this article, the FDA does not require dogs to be tested on. So why are we testing on them? Why? I'm going to go to full screen here because it's brutal to even look at. At the end of the day, this is what our dollars are going to. When we say we don't want taxpayer dollars going to medical experiments in general half the time, this is what we really mean here. We don't know what they're really going to when we say these taxpayer dollars are going to medical experiments, we don't ever get the answers to what exactly these experiments are doing, and we also have no say in if these things should be morally allowed in the first place. And if you notice, they always outsource this stuff to other countries, mind you, because if this was being done in America, people would be even more, they would have been more outraged in the very beginning, right? They know they can outsource this to labs over in places like Africa where they really don't have the same, I'm just going to say it, the same moral standards when it comes to the treatment of animals. Because for the most part, the idea that animals should be treated better and better and better typically grows as a society grows. And no hate here. It's just that Africa still hasn't grown as a society. They haven't grown as a culture. It just is what it is. Because of that, animal rights is not on their high priority list. Nor, frankly, should it be. Right now, they have other things they should probably be looking at. With that said, it doesn't mean we should still outsource the torture of animals to these nations. All right, we're outsourcing torturing animals to other countries because we don't want to do it here. The fact we don't want to do it here should immediately answer the question of should we be outsourcing it in the first place? Right. We don't want to do it here for a reason, because it's wrong, because we acknowledge it as evil, as something despicable. Again, there are some experiments we can run on animals that can be justified. There's some that you could say are less invasive, so because of that we can make some sort of justification in our minds. I know some of you out there probably still are like, no, it should be no animal experimentation at all. I'm not on that side just yet. I think there is a place for experimenting on animals. However, I think it should be done in the most moral way possible, if at all possible. The ends don't always justify the means. We have methods of how we usually test animals here in the States that, again, it's not necessarily good, but it's not locking their head, not taking out their vocal cords, locking their heads in a cage and let them get eaten alive by insects. We don't do that shit here. We just don't. It's horrendous. And this is what our taxpayer dollars are going to. If you want to voluntarily give your money to an organization in Africa who are doing this kind of research, I would disagree. I would say that's bad, but at the end of the day, I don't have any influence on what they do over in Africa, and I definitely have no influence on what you do with your own money for the most part. But you're taking taxpayer dollars. My money went to fund this. Your money went to fund this. That's where we're at right now. And Fauci signed off on all of it. You can make the argument, people out there saying, well, he shouldn't be put in jail. He's just doing what he was supposed to do. He was just doing his job. Fine. Remove him. Get rid of him. Fire him. It's not that damn hard. It's hard to fire a government employee. I should take that back. We know what needs to be done. He should be removed from office. I would like to see him arrested for all the lies he has told, lying to Congress multiple times. I would like to see the man arrested. But frankly, I will be happy when this man is just gone from politics in general. But of course, like always, what do you think? Maybe it's because some of my family members had pet beagles and I really like beagles. But this story is just atrocious. It's just terrible. It's evil. It's just straight up evil. It really is. But how should we handle it? What should be done next? Leave in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we should experiment on animals at all? Again, let me know in the comments below. As well as, of course, if you do enjoy this video, and enjoy might not be the best word. If you appreciate this type of content, please make sure to leave a like. It really does help. As well as, of course, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to do a video every day on weekdays. So subscribe to the channel for more content. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll be talking again real soon.